Okay, we're on. Wow, that was a different lineup. Normally, I have 2 or 3 buttons to hit, and it's sent me all around the globe there to get on. Anyway, it looks like we're on. I think so. Yeah, looks like we're live. All right, welcome. Okay, this is Mark coming to you from Baker's Green Acres, lovely Marion, Michigan. That is the northern lower part of Michigan, for those of you that don't know where we are. Michigan looks like this, and we're right about here. Right about here. All right, so let's see, where am I going tonight? I have an idea, but before I launch into that, I'm going to tell you that the Anyone Can Farm Homestead Hog Harvest is coming up. It's looming. It's on the horizon. It is November 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And I am really looking forward to it. We've got some nice big fat pigs that we're going to use for that one. The Homestead Hog Harvest is the only class where we start with live animals, live pigs, and we go through the whole slaughter process. And we break them down into primals and then subprimals, touch on a little bit of charcuterie on towards the end of the class. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We start just after noon on Friday. So it's a good class. A lot of people have come to it and had a good time and learned some things. I think for your homesteading toolbox, it's probably one of the best processes that you can wade into and after a while learn to master it. And what we hear a lot of times is, well, I don't want to do that. Okay, well, when I hear that, the next thing I think of is the statement or the question, what is the difference between a successful homesteader and an unsuccessful homesteader? And the answer is the successful homesteader does the things that the unsuccessful homesteader will not. Now, anybody can do this. It's just a question of taking the first step and just staying with it until the weekend's over. And then you come away from it with a working knowledge of how this works. And if you can butcher a pig, you can butcher a cow. If you can butcher a cow, you can butcher a sheep. It's all kind of the same. There are some differences, and I think at some point, we may have a homestead beef butchering class. We just haven't had the interest in it at this point. And it's so we did it one year, and all right, well, here's something from Intentional Homesteading, Beth DeCleric. Homestead Hog Harvest. Now, you should listen to this because this is the voice of authority right here. Homestead Hog Harvest was a pivotal point in our homesteading journey. It gave us so much confidence and inspiration to keep growing. And that's a fine example right there. International Homesteading. They're really doing a bang-up job. Intentional. I'm being funny. She probably don't think it's that funny. Yeah, so that's coming up, and I think at this point there's 7 seats full. Now, those of you who have taken it, if you could do me a favor and spread the word for us, because I'd really like that class to be full. I mean, we're going to do it with 7 people. We'll definitely do it, but it would be nice to have 12. And what's nice about that is we break down into groups of 3. And so every team gets a lot of hands-on training. Your hands are right in it. It's not like you're just watching me and my sons do it. You're right there. As a matter of fact, we step back and we'll demonstrate a few strokes of the old hog scraper and then hand it to somebody. Here you go. And then I kind of step back and watch what's going on and point out the nuances and stuff. And then when we get to the next step of, say, evisceration, I usually ask for a volunteer, and some of you people know what that's all about. And then I demonstrate a few of the cuts, and then I hand the knife to somebody who is willing to do it. And everybody gets time to do this. And what I like to think of in these classes that we do, if you leave here and on your way home, you're planning to do your first pig, that's what I want. I want you to gain the confidence to say, yeah, we can do this. We can definitely do this. Where some processes that you go through, especially if you weren't brought up on a farm or you didn't grow up deer hunting and stuff like that, which I didn't, you're kind of like, well, there's so much to know. Where do I even start? But if you are with us through this process, you get to see the shoot. I'm the one that does the shoot and the stick, and everybody gets to see that up close and personal. So it's a good thing to do. That's coming up. So if the rest of you can help me out and help me fill that class, that would be great. And the next thing after that is going to be sometime in December. I don't see it on the calendar, but it's way over there. I can't see it. Will be the charcuterie class. And that's where we start with pigs that have already been scalded, scraped, and split in two. And then we go through the breakdown real quick. So it's kind of a refresher in that regard. And then we go right into the charcuterie process. Charcuterie, if you don't know, it's the art of meat preservation when it comes to pigs. Mostly there is other kind of charcuterie, like you hear of duck charcuterie and even some beef charcuterie, but it's mostly pigs, and it's the curing of the meat. And that comes as a real surprise to people because we cure the meat at 60 degrees, 60% humidity. So plus or minus, about 10 each. It's a pretty forgiving process so long as you stay within certain parameters and you're okay. So it's a good homesteaders thing because you can put meat up, preserved, shelf stable, and you can keep it for a long, long time. And this nowadays seems like a prepping move or a culinary move, like high-end chefs do this. But when this was originated, it was a food preservation move because you kill your pigs in the fall when it starts getting cool, and then you still want to be eating off that the next year at the end of summer. So you would make bacon and you would smoke hocks and you would hang hams and smoke them and all that stuff. Smoking actually was a process where if, let's say, you killed a pig during fly season, you'd put it in a smokehouse and you would get the smoke going and keep the smoke going all day long to keep the flies out. Yeah, and that was a method of, it puts a crust on it, and then that meat can be put in the hanging room, even in the summertime, with salt, and it will cure. We don't do it that way because we don't need to. We do all of our pigs in the fall, and then we do our beef in the early winter through the hard winter, and then by the time we're getting into like February, we're pretty well done, and then we're just staying in the house and watching reruns of Oprah Winfrey. Actually, really enjoy that. She helps people. Okay, so that's coming up. What else? My day today. I like to share this because a lot of people that we know, what they want to do is they want to turn their homestead into their main form of work. They want to support their family from their homestead or their small farm. It is doable. It is doable. You just have to understand that you're going to have to do things that are a little different. it's not going to be like maybe you think it is, right? And what we've come to understand is the small farm homestead is, or small farm, family farm, has multiple streams of income. And you're not doing one huge thing all the time simply because you have the seasons. So you're not cutting hay in January, but you do need to cut hay if you're going to milk cows in January because they're going to need feed. You're not going to raise broiler chickens in the wintertime. You won't be cutting ice off the pond to go in your ice house in the summertime. I don't really do that, but I could, and I'd like to. I have a pair of ice tongs, so I'm close, you know. But we have a cooler that runs off electricity, and I don't know. I would like to build an ice house someday. I think it would be really fun to understand that whole thing. There's a lot to know about it. But we're definitely a seasonal operation. So I like to talk about what I did today. What was my day about? So my day today was Wednesday. Tuesday is my day to milk. So it's me and Frank. And we milk as a two-man team. One guy is the primary. I don't know why that's the case, but primary and the secondary. I'm the secondary guy. So the primary guy is the guy that actually goes into the milk parlor, and his first duties are to flip the lights on now because we got lights in there. And then he takes a bucket, a stainless steel bucket, lets the cows in. So he may have to go get the cows. Pretty recently here, the cows have been up waiting for us. I think that has, no, I don't know. I almost said, I think it has to do with the cycle of the moon. The moon has been on my mind a lot. I don't know about any of you guys, but I'm not sure why. Sometimes the cows are just up waiting for us. Sometimes they're down in the back field and they're eating and they don't want to come up. You got to go down and get behind them and start chasing them. And so sometimes we have to do that. This morning we didn't have to. They were up. And then my job as a secondary is to get the milking equipment put together. If anything hasn't been cleaned properly, to notice that and reaccomplish it. That doesn't happen much. I got a pretty good crew. And then haul that out to the milk parlor, get it hooked up. And about that time, Frank's done washing the cows off. So he's got a bucket of hot water. The way we do it, and we've been doing it this way for years, we put a couple of dots of Dawn in there and then a wash rag, and you just go to it and you wash them off, right? I know a lot of guys that milk cows, they use iodine and other such things. I don't like it. I don't like the way it smells, and I can taste it in the milk. So I don't do it. We almost never have problems associated with not doing iodine. What you will hear is that if you don't do iodine, you're going to have mastitis. We never have mastitis. Almost never. Almost never. Once in a while, you'll see something kind of flare up, but it usually goes away. And that flare up, when you strain the milk, you'll see a little bit of globules of fat. And when we see that, we take a note of who it came from, and then the next day we'll make sure that that's not getting worse. And the treatment for that is kind of Jill's thing, and she uses holistic methods to get that straightened out. But I don't recall ever having a problem that we didn't get under control in a very short time. So that's how we do it. Some people are going to disagree with that, I'm sure, but it's been working good for us, and that's why we're going to continue to do it. So once he's got everything washed down, he'll hook up the first cow. I go back to we're using the kitchen now, not the house kitchen, but the summer kitchen is what we call it now. It's the old butcher shop. which we no longer butcher in. It is now a kitchen slash store slash cafe. So we're repurposed that building and we're using it for something else. So we're still using that now until the milk house is done. And I think the milk house will be operational in less than 2 weeks. Less than 2 weeks. Can't believe how much we've gotten done. And then I go back to the kitchen. I grab some buckets. We use just plastic buckets. And when Frank's got his first cow milked, we dump that milk in a bucket, put a lid on it. I take it back. By then, I usually have all my jars set up, washed and set up. And then I start filling them. And about the time I'm done with that first bucket of milk, I go back over with that bucket and pick up the second bucket of milk and leave the first one there for him to refill. And about the time I'm done filling the jars from the second bucket, he's getting done and walking in with the equipment. He drops the equipment, goes up to the house, has breakfast. I finish jarring or bottling, I guess. We use jars at this point. And then I wash the milk equipment thoroughly and get it all hung up to air dry. And then I write the date on the jars. And then I put them in the fridge. That's how I do it now. And you guys might be wondering, well, what about the water bath that you were so geeked about there for a while? I'm not geeked about it anymore. Not anymore. All right. So I've gone through a whole evolution. And I can talk about that because some of you are milking cows. And I wholeheartedly believe it's one of the coolest things that you can do. And it is one of the best money makers on a farm. And if you want to sustain yourself on your farm, the reason why there's so many dairies around here is because, as we learn in the book 80 Acres, when people came here from the old country, and around here it was Dutch people, they set up a dairy, and that's what they did. But that wasn't all they did. They would usually milk 10 cows. They would do row crops. They were cutting hay all summer long. Mom did a garden. They had a bunch of chickens. They raised hogs. And some of them did bees. Some of them did needlepoint. Some of the kids worked off the farm for other farmers. So they did lots of different things. And in a community like that, with a lot of people doing the same thing, they would all know when people were available to come and help. And so they were actually leveraging each other's downtime to accomplish their mission, which was to feed their family and make a living, right? Get their farm paid for. That was their bank account, was getting their farm paid for. There's a outstanding book. Beth has read this one. It's called 80 Acres. I am on my 5th time. And I recommend you get that book and read it. There is so much in there, but you really have to read in between the lines. And now that I am doing this on a Dutch farm and I'm reading the book almost like it is a spy novel and I got to figure things out, I'm really gleaning a lot. Like I actually learned the other night that Republicans drive Chevrolets. Fords are for Democrats. And around here, Democrats, they're not loved. They're not loved. Yeah, I have a Ford, unfortunately. But I learned that in the book. You learn all kinds of cool things in the book. You learn good attitudes. And as I'm reading the book again, after I finished milking, well, actually, it was like midway. I do a lot of thinking while I'm milking. You know, I'm by myself. I've just come out of the pool. My quench in the morning. I get up, sit. This morning I was looking at the storm news. My sister's down in Florida, and she's staying put because Rachel Maddow said it's not going to be that bad. I see others, so I'm watching that closely. I get up and I check that, drank a cup of coffee, went out, got in the pool. It was truly a cold plunge this morning. Truly. Got out, got my stuff on, decided this morning I was going to wear shorts because it looked pretty nice out and I thought it was going to get nicer. It didn't. I have jeans on now. I had to come to the house and change. It was that cold. And but as I was milking, I noticed something sitting in the driveway, and it is a car. And the car is not my car. The car is John Spears' car. It is the courtesy car. John's courtesy car. I told you the story. Last Sunday, we were going to the beach. Was it last Sunday? No, the Sunday before. We're going to the beach one last time. It's going to be 80 degrees. I went swimming there too. Not because I was hot, because I wanted that buzz. Man, you get in that cold water and you stay there as long as you can. You get out, you get a buzz. And it's a good one, and it lasts for a long time. So anyway, on the way to the beach, our beloved pilot that I bought from John Spears, like quite a few years ago, I think it's probably 3 or 4 now. I'm not really sure. Who's with us? Does anybody remember when we went down to Texas to do Sean Kelly's Homestead Hog Harvest? Was that 3 years ago? I don't know. See if Sean Kelly shows up. Hey, if you guys give input on here, it helps with the algorithms. So anyway, I'm seeing that car, and it caused me kind of heartache because our pilot, the bottom end of the engine let go. Needed an engine swap. It's got 200,000 miles on it. I don't know, to get the engine would be about $4,000. And so we had some hard decision to make, but I called John, and anyway, I called him to get the car off the road, and he sent a wrecker out. The wrecker came, and it had a courtesy car on the back of it. I mean, what a nice guy. So I was able to get to the beach where otherwise we would have had to ride in the wrecker back to the garage and then find a ride home. That's how it usually goes. And our day would have been pooched, but it wasn't. All right, Sean, 4 years ago? All right, well, then we've had the pilot for a while. Let's just call it 4 years. Doesn't matter. But when I saw that, it caused me a little bit of heartache. You know, it's like, we got to get another vehicle. And we've decided the vehicle we had before the pilot, we had a Toyota Sienna minivan, right? Kind of got it because it was available and the price was right, and we got it and we used it, put a lot of miles on that. It was a nice van. At the time we got it, Jill was like, I don't want any minivans. No minivans. Because, I don't know, she thought it was just like submitting to soccer momage or something. I'm not sure. But when we had it, we used it, and it got us through a couple of years, probably 3. And then we got the pilot because we were going to go down to Sean's, and I wanted to like present well, you know, and I thought it was time. The pilot was $10,000. And so we got a loan on it, which Jill and I have never got a car loan together. I've never gotten a car loan. I had a motorcycle loan once, and I hated that, but I never got a car loan because I could always find stuff that I could save up for, and it did me right. I mean, I did okay with it. So I've always had this kind of edge about spending money on cars, borrowing money to spend on cars. But we did it for the pilot. And that pilot really was a really good car. We went a lot of places on it, spent a lot of time in that thing, felt safe in it. You know, it was like a Humvee kind of. Rode a little rough, but it was tough. It was just a tough machine. The engine letting go is another story. I might have had something to do with that. But So when I saw the John's car sitting out there, I was just so thankful for John for loaning us that car. And I told him what I wanted about a week ago. No, on the Monday after it happened. Uh, and he's looking for it. And I told him we wanted another Sienna. And I told him what our price range was. You know, we didn't want to make more of a payment than the Pilot. So, and the payment on the Pilot was like under $200. But like Jill and I not having car payments ever, it was $200. You got to write every month just for a ride. Seems kind of dumb. It did. And then I came to the house and I said to Jill, you know, I'm not liking this. I'm not like tying John's car up. And so we talked about a little bit, and I called John and I said, you know, maybe we should spend a little bit more money. And so that led to a train of thought, right? Because here we are almost going on 2 weeks with John's courtesy car. It's just a little Impala, nice car, but for the farm, it's not really, can hardly do the milk delivery with it. And so it's okay. It's hard for me to get in and out of because it's so low and the seat doesn't go back far enough. I got to kind of squish my head down to get under it, but it rides good. I'm no complaints. I wouldn't want one for my family vehicle, and I'm really glad that we have options to get something else. So we started looking at it and going through the numbers and thinking about, okay, a car payment of $200. I'm gonna have to do the math here real quick. If you have a $200 car payment, let's say, you divide that by the days in the month. That's $6.66. Ooh. About $6 a day to drive that thing. And I thought, $6 a day? Are you kidding me? That vehicle did us right. I mean, we have moved the ball down the field a lot with that thing. Now, I had the other Sienna was the man van. You guys know about that. I had that for a couple of years, and it was nice. We were 2-car family. If something went wrong with the Pilot, we'd always have the other Sienna, but it got full of tools, and I wound up ripping the seats out of it, and then somebody that we know had a car accident, and she couldn't swing another car, so we gave it to her. And you know, I mean, it was probably the right thing to do, but I really missed it, right? And so when I started looking at it, like $6 a day, like we can afford more than $6 a day. So let's say we did a $400 payment on it. You know, a vehicle that costs $400 a month seems outrageous to me. Divided by 30, $13 a day. $13 a day. Like, wait a minute. I'm milking my cows that are giving me about 15 gallons a day. And you guys know we sell it for $10 a gallon. And that's 7 days a week. Now, we don't perfectly match up 15 gallons with 15 customers. And anything that doesn't match up comes to the house and gets made into butter. That's a quality of life issue. That's what our talk tonight is about, is quality of life and the homestead. Quality of life and the homestead. So when I started looking at this, I was like, why are we fretting about $13 per day if I rented a car and had it sitting out there? I'm not even sure what that would be, but it wouldn't be no $13 a day. It would be quite a bit more than that. And so I started throwing the numbers around, and Of course, I would rather, get the vehicle that we want, like a Sienna van, a newer one, and get it paid for. I'd like to, and we will. I mean, if we're paying on it and we keep living and everything and making the payments, we will eventually pay it off, right? We didn't quite get the pilot paid off before the engine blew out on it, but that was pretty old. It was a 10, and there was some extenuating circumstances there. But anyway, um, but then I started thinking about, wait a minute, if that van was sitting in the driveway and we wanted to say go down to the Declarics on the 19th to hang out with a bunch of the homestead homies, we could ride down there in comfort and safety, and everybody could get in. We could haul stuff with us if we wanted to. If it's a hot day, air conditioning. If it's a cold day, we can have heat. It's not like we're taking the buckboard down. It's there. That's how we're going to get there. It's going to make it down. It's going to make it back. To me, it was like somebody dumped a bucket of warm water over me when I compared that to, wow, I hope we have the van of our dreams. John finds it for us for $200 and it's primo. And, but if we don't, I guess we're taking John's car down to Declarics. I didn't like the feel of that because I feel like I'm tying up John's car, and although he says it's no problem, he's got a couple other ones that he uses for courtesy cars, so it's not a problem. But quality of life wise, I would like to have it resolved. And when we push the numbers on it, would we trade $13 per day for the quality of life of having a decent piece of equipment out there that we can get in, will get us there safely and home, and we can listen to our favorite tunes on the radio? Probably. Pilot didn't have a radio, or at least we never figured out how to make it work. It was way too complex, so nobody ever figured it out. I didn't anyway. So then that became a factor, the quality of life factor. And I got to thinking how, wow, quality of life is a major factor in the equation of homesteading, because we make a lot of sacrifices to live on our homesteads, because those of us that do this find that the quality of life that we get to enjoy on the homestead is worth it. So I guess I never really put that in the equation whenever I'm figuring out what I want to do and why I want to do it, the timeline that I want to do it on, who we want to involve in it, who we don't want to involve in it, things like that. I kind of take that into consideration, but never quality of life for my family as a top rung concern. And I guess I do it's just not a heading on my piece of paper. It's not a heading. And I thought, whoa, it should be. It really should be. So, the things that we find nice about our existence on this farm are things like I work where I live. So when I get up in the morning, it isn't, get dressed out the door, traffic. I'm going to be late. I should have left earlier. Oh, I hate being late. I don't have that, right? My thing now is I can get up at a reasonable time. And I mean reasonable. And I'm out to work by I walk there. I walk to my work area. I pick up where I left off the day before. And so that is a big plus to me, huge plus. I encounter opportunities on a regular basis where I can make way more of a gain, a monetary gain or a stuff gain. Like I come across stuff that I can use. I do business with people who share stuff with me, give stuff to me. I trade stuff with. Information is available to me where when you're working for someone else, or even if you work in your own business, but someone's hiring you to do plumbing or do drywall or to weld or to build a house, that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. So like my day today, I guess when I finish milking and I'm still riding this I guess euphoria of understanding this, I just can't. It's like I understood it all of a sudden. Then I had to feed the pigs. I didn't get to them yesterday. I fed them heavy the day before, but I had to do that, and I had to drop a bale to the cows. Um, and so I was out. It was nice out. I was still in shorts at that time, and I'm getting a lot of sun. And I even I was listening to tunes on my phone, good tunes. And so I had a great time. I just had a great time doing kind of mundane things. I mean, it's not real exciting to me anymore to feed the pigs. It's fun, but it's not like the highlight of my day. And I was able to plan that, okay, when I'm done with this and this, I'm gonna go get a cup of coffee. And then I'm going to pick up where I left off the day before on the milk house, my construction. And I really like that. I just really have a good time doing that. And then I'm going to check on the news. I'm going to see what old Kamala's up to. Has she bailed out yet? Was she done anything stupider yet? Is there any more entertainment here value that I can watch? And so I do things while I'm building. I listen to things, or I listen to music or whatever. I really enjoy it. So to me, that's really important. That's the way my life goes. And then we eat lunch at 2. I don't want to eat lunch at noon. I don't want to. I like to eat lunch at 2. And today, I didn't even really want to eat lunch. I kind of told Jill, can I just have a cup of soup? She said, yeah, we'll bring it down to you. That's nice. I wouldn't have that if I was working a job. Jill gets to do what she wants to do. It's in line with what she likes to do, taking care of her kids and taking care of me and stuff. And she's got plenty of time to read and all that. So the quality of life is definitely there. I mean, it is so there. It's compared to the way our lives were before we had a successful homestead. I mean, it's so good sometimes that I can't help but share it. And I make videos, and a lot of you probably know, just sharing what I'm doing. And I come across something that all of a sudden I get an understanding of it, and I say, I think people could benefit from this, so I will share it. And I actually enjoy that. I don't know why. I just do. I just like it. I enjoy sunsets. I enjoy the solitude of this place, the lack of noise. I enjoy being alone a lot. I enjoy being able to work with my kids. I enjoy the freedom to change directions if we want to slightly, or even majorly. I enjoy, if I decide that I would like to build a hot water system off of my wood stove, I can put what I'm doing on hold if I really want to do it. You know, I'm getting better at not doing that though. I'm trying to finish things, right? And I just enjoy the challenge of it. You know, I'm not assigned, this is what I want you to do today, do this. I get to assign myself, I get to assign my kids, I get to use the farm as a training tool to train them on how to do things that I think is very important for them in their development as young men. Um, yeah, I get to meet people during the day. Our milk customers pull in. A lot of times they want to talk. A lot of times they want to just fly on through. Uh, yeah, so it's a good lifestyle, and the quality of life that I'm looking for, I have it here. And if it's something that I want to add, I have the luxury of being able to make that decision and do it. You know, if there's something that my wife would want to do different and she says, can we do this? Then we can do that. Right. So that was my train of thought today, was quality of life, having to do with something that I've always said is bad, is car payments. Right. So I kind of owe Zilka a little bit of apology on that, because I think he was a little sensitive about that because he had a car payment on his truck. And I think he was kind of thinking that I didn't think that was a good idea. And he's like, yeah, I know how you feel about this, but it's a really cool truck. And it brings him joy. He can haul his trailer around with him, take his wife and kids places. And that's what they do. That's what they like to do. So that's quality of life for him. So I need to shut the hell up, right, when it comes to that. If people decide to do that, hey, it's good on them. But there are times when it's not a good idea. I mean, and I'm not here really to discuss that, but we are at a place right now where our needs are met. And when wants come along, it's almost like, do I really, when you think about it, it's like, I almost don't want it. If it's not really a need, it's not something that's going to move the ball down the field, I can live with it. So, yeah, that's where I wound up. That's where I wound up today. And I'm still feeling like that's a smart move. I was able to call John and say, because what I had said to him was, well, I want this, but I only want to pay this much for it. And I want it to have leather, and I want it to have a sunroof, and it's got to, you know. And so I basically said to him, find me a needle in a haystack. And I didn't really even realize that's what I was asking him to do. So when I realized it, I called him back and I said, hey, no, we're doing better than that. And another thing too, our van, the new van that we're getting that's going to replace the Pilot, we use that as part of our milk business, right? So 2 days a week, we have jujitsu in town in Cadillac. And while we're there, we do a milk drop. And so Jill takes somewhere around 15 to 20 gallons into Cadillac twice a week. She's charging the people for delivery. Otherwise, they can come to the farm and get it. And so that delivery is a business expense. So the van, in a lot of ways, is it's a piece of farm equipment that we kind of use to go on little excursions here and there, go to the beach, go to Clark's, go to this, go to that, to have fun. We kind of use it for that. But if you categorize it properly, it is a business expense. And I'm not exactly sure how much we get for delivery in Cadillac, but I think it's $2 a gallon, I think. So if you take 20 gallons in, there's $40 that can go towards the payment. And I I'm not sure if this is a real revelation to people. It kind of was to me, though. And for a while now, I've been thinking like, we really need to have two cars here, because if the primary goes down, or like the the Sienna will be primarily what Jill drives, and I'm thinking about getting a smaller, just a half ton Chevrolet, probably, because Republicans drive Chevrolets, and a Chevrolet pickup, 2-wheel drive. I don't want 4-wheel drive. I don't need that extra equipment. I just want something that I can haul stuff and get me there and back. I don't even want a crew cab. I just want a standard cab. You know, I want rubber floors, vinyl seats, roll up windows. I don't care if it's got a radio. Heat would be nice. Don't need air conditioning. Just basically a buckboard when I got to go and get parts, or I got to go and pick up lumber, or I got to haul a trailer with steel on it, or whatever it is that I need to do. I don't have to feel bad about getting in the nice car with my grubby clothes on. So I'm going to do that as soon as we get this Sienna. I'm going to start, we're going to start putting some dollars together for that. A 2-wheel drive pickup is not very expensive, and it doesn't really matter if it's, so long as it's under under 1 million miles. It's not going to get used a whole lot. It's not like I would take it on long trips or anything. I'm not planning to. So anyway. All right. So what do we got here? Intentional Homesteader says, yes, I know it's going to make for a long day for the guys, but I'm so excited to have you come. Oh yeah. I should tell you about that too. The 19th, it's actually the Republican Party that's doing it. And I'm not even a registered Republican. I'm an independent. I was just kidding you about that. I'm definitely not a Democrat. Ooh, who would want to be a Democrat these days? Ooh, I don't know. But the 19th, the Republican Party is putting on a Preppers Expo in Traverse City, Michigan. And I am going to be the keynote speaker, and I will be going on at 10. And then the DeClerc's Homesteaders Day on their place is going to start about 4. So I want to go. So we'll sprout out of there, stop here, pick up kids here, and then head down to DeClerc's, which is only an hour and 45 minutes down the road. And hopefully we'll be in our new Sienna. Hopefully. Okay. Yeah, no, that's not going to be that big a deal, because, I don't milk that day, so I can go up there and do that, and then go down to your place, and not a big deal. Look forward to it, because I like hanging around with other homesteaders, and it's fun. Okay. Intentional says, I agree. Milk delivery vehicle is 100% farm expense. Right on. Right on. We're not there yet, but when I think big on milking, when you crush the numbers on it, and you start to see that people really want raw milk. They really do. I live 20 miles from a pretty good sized town. It's 10, 12,000 people. We could easily support a 10 cow dairy there. The problem is those people have busy lives, and for them to drive 20 miles here to get a gallon of milk and drive back, that's a lot to ask. But they will pay you $2 to do it, or $3, or whatever. So I could see a day when, again, looking in the rearview mirror, when I was a kid, we had a man that showed up at the house, and he stepped out of a van and walked down the driveway with a basket in his hand that had milk in it, and you could get other stuff too. And I don't remember if we did, but I distinctly remember this man, all in white, even had a cap on. He was the milkman, and he would deliver the milk. And we had a little box there, insulated box, and he would lift that up and put the milk in it. And I think we probably got 4 gallons a week. And then he would get in the van and go. And then he'd stop again, go to another house and stop again, all over town. There is no reason why we can't do that. And it would definitely pay for the driver and the vehicle if we did it. And that would get us to the place where we could move 10 cows worth of milk. And if you crunch the numbers on that, it's pretty exciting, because that's how you can make a homestead pay. But I'm not supposed to talk about that anymore, because I'm not supposed to talk people into getting into milking. I'm supposed to talk you into buying milk. And I understand that, but I'm just not real good at that. The Ghost. Jiu-jitsu, cool. Martial arts is the best. I wish I didn't have to wear glasses now. I'd go back to karate. Oh, so it's the glasses, huh? Lone Star. Where you been, lad? Baker for sheriff. Yeah. Not a chance. I'm having way too much fun doing what I'm doing right now. Not a chance. I think about it sometimes. It was a good idea, but, in a way, everything worked out the way it was supposed to. It did. It worked out. I was seriously outmaneuvered on that. And had they not cheated, because they did cheat, had they not cheated and I was elected, I would have been walking into a pit of vipers, and they would have had me for lunch, and there would have been no one there to tell you, hey, don't do this. These, because they're working as a group, they would have had me for lunch. So it was a godsend that I didn't get elected. Really was. And what the heck, I did it. I ran. And the reason for running was to show them that I wasn't afraid to do it. And I showed them, and not saying I wouldn't do it again, but things are changing in our country. I'm still optimistic. I think the old system is just dying. It's just dying. I heard today that P. Diddy is getting out of jail. You know what that means? He turned on everybody else, so they're going to let him out. The poor guy. I guess he's a bad man, though. Bad man. Yep, they didn't kill him. They didn't knock him off. He must have had some sort of dead man switch, that if they knocked him off like they did the other guy, that everything was going to get released. So who knows? But I still believe that the old system is just falling apart. Last week, so that's the end of my quality of life talk right there. And I hope that helps you out. The classes that we do contribute to my quality of life. It is not hard to do. It's actually fun, and I look forward to it. You get to spend 3 days with people that you didn't know before, and when you break up, you still know them, and some of them become friends, and that's a nice thing. That's really a nice thing for me. Anyway, I like that kind of thing. So that's that. Quality of life. Quality of life. Let's see. There was something else that I wanted to talk about. Does anybody remember what it was? Last week I was talking about self-sufficiency, and we were in the early stages of looking at what happened in primarily North Carolina. But this week the videos started coming out, and I watched probably 25 of them, and it's just devastating. And I think, moreover, what I took away from it is people are good because you see them helping each other, even in the face of government bureaucrats, FEMA, that's saying, no, we want to control this. And they're doing everything they can to just tangle people up. And the good old boys there from North Carolina are just running circles around them, and they're running the rescue operations. But it's It's a bad, bad situation. And now we're looking at another bad situation happening in Florida. I haven't heard this, but it looks like Florida is going to get cut in two. And I think FEMA will probably do their damnedest to keep people that are in the southern half from voting. I think that's what they're going to do. That's the way it looks to me. They're saying that this storm, if they don't have a category 6, but after this storm, they're going to have to create a new category. That's what I heard today from, which seemed to be, weather personnel that were communicating that, like, it's bad, this one that's going to hit. And I guess part of what's so terrible about it is from the first one, Helena, the storm surge was horrible. So the people down there just take all their stuff that's ruined by the water coming in their house, 4 feet of water in your first floor, and they just put it out by the road. And then some sort of service comes and takes it. Well, there's tons and tons and tons of stuff out by the road in front of people's houses. And when this new hurricane comes in, all of that stuff is going to be, projectiles. And so it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. It looks kind of precarious. I feel for my sister. She's decided that she's going to stay there during this whole thing. It looked like by the time the authorities got around to saying, oh, no, you got to leave. Even if you're 20 miles inland, you got to leave. This is going to be bad. It was too late. There was not enough fuel. The roads were jammed, and a lot of people wound up turning around and going back home. And it's supposed to start hitting early tomorrow morning. So we'll see. We'll see. There's all kinds of talk about it being manipulated by man. I don't know for sure. I have no firsthand knowledge with that. I know what I see. I know what I hear, but I can't confirm it. Not as a farmer. I can't. So what else? You got it good on the west coast of Canada. Not for long, buddy. You're going to start getting earthquakes. Yeah, that's what they'll do to you. Either that or Fukushima. They'll Fukushima you. You're not out of the woods yet. I don't think none of us are. I think it's we got 30 days till the election, something like that, or 20. So there could be some serious craziness coming out. I think one of the things that I've heard that's not seen any traction was, two things. I guess Kamala Harris's boy toy there, her husband of 10 years, belted his last girlfriend and knocked down at some film festival in Europe someplace, and it's well documented. But of course, the mainstream media doesn't want to pick that up. And the other thing is Candace Owens. She's a real black woman. She is talking about Kamala. She's not black. She's Indian. And the woman that they show her with as her grandmother, death records show that her grandmother died 4 years before she was born. And Candace seems to have this lined right out. And I heard this last week, and I believe they're holding on to it until, October surprise meal. I don't know. We'll see. Every day you get up, it's sort of a new thing. That's exciting. I am at a place where it's fun to watch, but I am forcefully making myself focus on my operation, my family, my friends, because that's where I have pull and that's where I can make a difference. When I'm watching the latest episode of Yellowstone, is it Yellowstone? I don't watch it. I watched one, and it was we got halfway through it, me and Jill, and turned it off. It was stupid. But you can root for the guy that you want. Oh, I hope that old what's his name, but you can't affect it. It's not like watching a football game. You can root for your guy, but you can't do anything. You can paint yourself, all blue, show up there with your shirt off. You can, get loaded in the parking lot before you go, but it doesn't change anything. And I don't like things like that. I think I'd rather play golf than go to an NFL. I went to one once. Wasn't that good? Couldn't see much. Hard to know what's going on. I don't even watch it on TV anymore. Not my thing. So what I really got to today that I enjoyed quite a bit is I had to build a door. And that door had to go from the milk room into the milk parlor. And there was no way that I could have a swinging door because there was no place for it to swing. And so I had to have a sliding door. And if you've ever done that, it's pretty neat. You can buy the tracks and the hardware that slides in the tracks, and then you build the door, hang there. And in this application, I needed the door to close tight enough against the wall that I could make a weather-tight seal. And so I built that today, and it came out really nice. Got it installed, slides back and forth. Really nice. I really enjoyed building that. So I'm about one door away from having that completely roughed in, that if we all of a sudden got super cold weather and I had to protect the water that's in there, I could do it. It might be a little uneconomical at this point because I don't have all the insulation in, but I could do it. So I'm going to feel real good about getting that last door in, which I hope to accomplish tomorrow. And then I'm going to be in good shape. So something else that leads to quality of life while I'm on the subject and thinking about it is prioritizing your process. I don't think any of us are in a place where we can just make a list and hand it to a contractor and say, make this happen, this happen, and this happen. And probably if you did, you'd wind up with things that don't quite fit together. I've seen that. I used to know a really wealthy guy, and he wanted a farm, and he wasn't handy at all, couldn't do anything. And so he had a guy that was a contractor that was there all the time, and he would jerk him from one project to the next, whether he's building fences or fixing up a house, and every time he got another idea, he would jerk the guy over to another project. And when we were there, it was like there's no rhyme or reason to this place, and nothing fits together. There is no economy in mind here. And there's a lot of stuff going out to the trash that didn't look good. So when we're building our own homesteads, we have to shift priorities, to be willing to shift priorities. And I was going to build an apartment over the milk house, and we've got the floor in and everything, but we're going to shut that project down for the near future and then work on the cabin next door, because the cabin next door can potentially be an income generator. If we do it right. And as I've been looking at it, I have some new ideas, and I want to make it really, really nice, functional, cute, just work in as much stuff as I would want. I stayed at a rustic campsite with a cabin, and I want to do all of that. And so shifting our attention over there as soon as the milk house is done. It doesn't have to be done, but it has to be functional. So That priority change came because my son is coming home with his new bride. He's going to need a place to stay, and they could stay up in the one of the rooms upstairs. But I thought, nah, that's going to be kind of strange. So we got to get that done so he can stay over there at Christmas time. And then DeClerc's got to stay there next Tribe Day, right? Okay. Lucian Babir. My dog killed 2 of my chickens today. Okay. Well, better get a handle on that. Okay. Is there anything else we need to talk about? We're at an hour and 7 minutes. And I'm kind of out. I'm kind of out of it. I'm kind of out of stuff to talk about. I don't think of anything else. We talked about P. Diddy. You know who's awful quiet these days? Barack Obama. Mighty quiet, D-Rock. That tells me something. I think the whole thing is coming down. I think just at some point there's going to be a critical mass that moves to the right side, and you're just going to see the rats scatter. Yeah. And if that does happen, and then this county truly needs a constitutional sheriff, and they really needed me, I would consider it. But there's quite a few men that could do it. Yep, the cabin is going to be amazing because I have a fencing project in mind. It's going to have its own little yard, pretty good size, and we're going to keep sheep will be in there from time to time because they're low impact, and they keep it trimmed down. I got plans. You're going to like it. You're going to really like it. Really like it. All right, that's it. And no one has anything else that they would like commented on. I have noticed an uptick in the watch rate of our videos. I don't know why that's happening, but they're just getting a lot more views. And I think maybe it was I was tripping on it. I was looking at, well, how many views? Like it matters. It doesn't really matter. And so then I ignored it. And like the view count on this thing, I just ignore it. It's not a factor. And I don't know, for some reason it just started picking back up. Doesn't mean anything. It doesn't equate to anything. Hollywood's not calling. Yeah, never mind. Forget it. Anything else? Anybody? Anyone? We'll look at that. Okay, I'm going to get going. There is no consulting call this week. We did it last week. Had a good time too. If you haven't been to those consulting calls, I highly recommend coming if you're a Tribe Plus person. It's well worth a while. We had a stupendous time. I'm controlling it a little better is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to keep people on track. Homesteading things, farm things, Let's not get in the weeds too much with anything. So it was pretty good. And if we get loaded up, because there's a lot of people in Tribe Plus, but not many people come to the consulting. I don't know. But if we get loaded up, we will do it every week. Why not? Pass on information, pass as much on information as we can. Okay. If you would like to come to the Homesteaders or the Preppers Expo, that's going to be on the 19th up at Traverse City. Starts 9 o'clock in the morning. I'll be speaking at 10. And then I'm going to hang around for a little while and see what's going on. And then we're going to sprout out of there. If you haven't gotten tickets to go to Eric's, you got to get them. I think it's $30 a family. Well worth it. We stayed there way too late last year. Way too late. If I had my school bus, we would have just stayed. But I don't have it yet. Is that it? The ghost says he would vote for me. Yeah, but being Canadian, that's not going to work out too good. Okay. Okay, I guess we'll go. Thanks for stopping by. Remember, anyone